Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, August 17th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next 2 days, we'll continue to see increases to fire potential across the Great Basin. Today, especially across Idaho, as greater lightning activity is expected. There will be some rainfall with some of these storms, but also gusty outflow winds. In some areas, we'll see lesser amounts of rainfall. Thunderstorms continue over the eastern portion of Nevada into the Arizona Strip and Utah as well, but these will likely have a little bit more moisture. By Saturday, a trough of low pressure moves through the Great Basin, bringing drier conditions to many areas and breezy northwest winds. The winds will be strongest on Saturday across the higher terrain of Utah into northeast Utah, where wind gusts will exceed 35 miles per hour as relative humidity decreases. Also, thunderstorm activity will be pushed well over the eastern side of the basin on Saturday, with no significant impacts to fire potential expected on Sunday. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen lightning mainly across the southern areas of the Great Basin, but also up into northern Utah, northern Nevada, and southwest Idaho. These lightning strikes in yellow over southwest Idaho are from this morning. Precipitation amounts were generally light, with the exception of some of the areas in darker blues that saw about 1/4 of an inch or up to 1/3 of an inch of rainfall. Light initial attack was reported yesterday across the Great Basin, with still several large fires across the area. Over the last 7 days, we've seen precipitation generally confined to the southern 2/3 of the Great Basin, but even this precip over Nevada, Utah, and the Arizona Strip has been generally below normal, with only pockets of heavier activity. Idaho and Wyoming remain very dry, which will be most critical today as that lightning moves through. ERC conditions, ERCs are still above the 90th or 97th percentile across Idaho, and even still into parts of northern Utah and northern Nevada, however have come down across much of Nevada and Utah as moisture has moved through, but are still critical in many areas. Looking at some of our ERC charts, up into the central Idaho mountains, ERCs are still above records for the time of year, and further south, ERCs have started to come down a little bit in northern Utah and northern Nevada, but are still near or just below records in many of those areas. The satellite loop from this morning shows high pressure dominating the southwest, with that trough of low pressure moving into the Pacific Northwest. This will continue to push thunderstorm activity further east through today, and is also generating some early morning lightning over southwest Idaho. As this trough moves through, that will be responsible as the trough moves further east for those northwest winds moving across the Great Basin tomorrow. So looking at the weather pattern for later today, again as that trough moves further east, thunderstorms will be confined to the eastern 2/3 of the Great Basin. We will have some precipitation with this lightning, but again some areas we'll see just the gusty outflow winds and the lightning strikes with not the heavier precipitation. So we do have high risk for much of Idaho today, and also extends into parts of Oregon and up into Montana for the lightning that moves through with the gusty outflow winds. You can see the weather picture for later today as in the image on the left. Again, the best chance for some heavier precipitation will be in parts of the central Idaho mountains up into Montana. And then the wind picture on the right shows those gusty outflow winds into Idaho and down into northern Utah. Also, breezy westerly winds will still be evident today, with drier conditions over western and northwest Nevada. As we move into Saturday, that trough of low pressure moves eastward, taking much of the lightning activity with it. We will still have some showers and thunderstorms over parts of Wyoming, far eastern Idaho, and far northeast Utah. However, really the wind picture is the bigger concern on Saturday, as drier, breezier northwest winds move over northern Utah, which may stir up holdovers and certainly affect ongoing incidents. You can see the relative humidity on Saturday on the left, generally single digits to low teens across much of Nevada into parts of southern Idaho and Utah. And then you can see the wind picture on the right showing those breezy northwest winds across all of Idaho, Wyoming, and even back into Nevada, but especially strongest over parts of Utah. Moving into Sunday, a ridge of high pressure builds. We'll see drier and warmer conditions with lighter winds across the basin, so no high risk issued for Sunday. And you can see the relative humidity just continues to dry out across the basin with generally lighter winds. The only exception will be along the Sierra front, where we'll see some gusty westerly winds around 25 or even 30 miles per hour with those single-digit relative humidity. The forecast amount of precipitation for the next few days will be kind of spotty with the thunderstorms, but the better chances of some wetting rains will be in parts of the central Idaho mountains. As we move into next week, we have a trough of low pressure over the Pacific Northwest, which may move through, and this may bring another round of some showers and thunderstorms to parts of Utah, possibly even northeast Nevada and up into Idaho, along with some breezier, drier conditions over western Nevada. No high risk has been issued yet. We'll see how the weekend unfolds and how that lightning moves in, but it could be on the drier side. On Tuesday, we start to pull up a little bit more moisture for some wetter type thunderstorms across much of the Arizona Strip, Utah, and southern and eastern Nevada, and drier conditions still in the west. And then looking at Wednesday, still lightning activity across Utah, parts of the Arizona Strip, maybe eastern Nevada, with drier air moving into Idaho and continuing over western Nevada. So you can see a little bit more green on the map in some of our areas to the south as that moisture returns. On Thursday, fairly similar picture, maybe some thunderstorms lingering across parts of Utah, but drier conditions out to the west. Not a big change on our 7-day total precipitation for the northern and western areas, but as that moisture moves up next week, we will see better chances of wetting rains for parts of Utah into southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip. Looking into the very end of August, we're looking at above normal temperatures for the southern half of the area and maybe some cooler, below normal temperatures for the north as we see more troughs move through the area. That also could mean windier conditions for the Great Basin and below normal precipitation. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.